Black people did all that, Angisho. My own colleagues, blacks largely. Yes, I've been afflicted by Indians, I've been afflicted by coloreds. But the biggest percentage of people that hurt me were black, and the ones that could help me rise up again after I fell were black. After all, they were my family. When you fall apart, your family is the one that helps you. When the world out there spits on your shoes, your family are the ones that are out here trying to help you wipe from. So if black people refuse to let me gain my life back again after I was sabotaged by perhaps Amandia, perhaps Indians could get to me only because blacks refused to help me once I was tripped by them. You are the reason why I could not find my way back inside corporate South Africa. You not only functioned as barriers to entry to me, but you ascertained that I can never work again even though you are aware of my skills. And then it was black people that try to grab a whole program manager with years of experience and education from Wits University and make her an administrator out here pushing paper. Black people were the ones that try to make me a digestive biscuit ordering secretary after I had done all that time, disregarding all my years of accumulated experience in corporate. And then when things fell apart because I was still maintained so good and excellent at what I did, you then acted ingati mina mengafuna ukusebenza. Black people did that, listen, single-handedly. It was a concert of diverse South Africans that cost my career. But it was black people that kept me unemployed for 12 years. And you did that to a young woman that was middle class, headed for upper middle class, and would likely have one day ended up wealthy altogether. So I mean, what is that for the country? A success story. Black people blocked it, and still to this day you're doing it. It's black people that are sitting on my chest, black people that are barriers to entry for my YouTube channel, YouTube of which is an American platform, but black people are still busy all up in there like white on rice. Black people are the ones that want to go and grab a whole virtuous good girl in the black community and make her a whore sleeping that will put my lesson that are going to give her AIDS. Black people. So I mean, you're my trauma to avoid, you understand? You're my trigger to eradicate. I get to avoid you because you're my trauma. Who in the world immerses themselves amidst a particular type of men when they have gang raped her before? You're not snooty or uppity when you avoid men that look like a rapist. You are self-preserving. And so black people, my avoidance of you is self-preservation. I don't hate you. I can't, I'm black. Mara, look at what you did. Nonetheless, that's not even what I'm actually trying to discuss. What I'm trying to discuss is the fact that you destroyed black people in the Gassis, and then you came to those who were in the upper class, in the middle class, and you ripped them apart. That are now still strong. Imagine now that that's a thing. And then the same also apply for the government, Dangish. Black people made black people live in Zimbabwe from inside the country, refusing us resources and leaving us out on a limb. And then they went for black people that had already made it, and they took them out of careers altogether. What that did was cause just the most devastating bomb blast of unemployment, even amidst people with skills. However, still go out of their way to lament, because I get it, like I said, you have the brazen audacity to writhe when you have caused the thing that made you writhe. But I get it, God, so he will salvage you anyway in spite of you. You then had the brazen audacity to go and writhe that there is a skills exodus in the country and that too many of our people are chilling in the diaspora. I can understand unemployment in the youth, people that have no experience at all, struggling to break into at least a cent. But when a woman that has amassed for herself all these years of experience, struggling to pierce into just one little dumb job, bese nizogcina nithi mina kwamele ngiyoscan amagrosa ePick n Pay, ngiyogcina mina ngiyowaita amatafule eWimpy. Finally, these kinds of skills. And then you have the, like I said, brazen audacity to go complain, skills exodus, complain, skills shortage. What do you mean you have a skills shortage? I'm a skilled professional. What do you mean? I'm right here in your backyard. Like, what are you talking about? My point exactly. You are functioning as barriers to entry, and then your complaints are to create a facade, a smokescreen of your attempt to try and salvage our talent. People that would have been business owners, entrepreneurs in this country. And so therefore employing this very unemployed youth that's writhing right now. These people that are also, never mind writhing, but also abusing foreigners. A person that would have eradicated a certain portion of unemployment in the country by in herself being in a position to employ people. An individual that could have done that for the economy of this country, put a multiplier on her. You put her out on a limb and insisted that rather she collect a stipend. Grant, Isasa, grant. Aged me to now 41 with no employment, albeit observing my skills, coming here, copying my content, coming here, stealing my ideas, and then robbing me of an opportunity to be some kind of benefactor to this country, of like proper skills developer, and so recruiting young people into my business. But when I had this pain on the side of the youth, that how in the world am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me experience? I had an idea when I was young, still growing up in corporate, seeing as I had in myself endured tyranny at the hands of demanding experience when, listen, I'm just out of matric, what are you talking about? Where am I gonna get it? You give it to me. I lamented. Finally, I broke into a learnership program. Finally, I succeeded to break into a learnership program that took a minute after having to drop out of this and then be unemployed for a season. I couldn't finish school because my mother wasn't paying my fees. I've eventually took myself to school. It's a whole story. You're gonna have to learn that. Yeah, what I went through during the season of unemployment, just the exorbitant depression that I felt, knowing how good I am at what I could be, and yet being denied an opportunity to do anything at all. Where am I supposed to get experience if you don't give it to me? Where? Because of that little trauma point of mine, I had, of course, now a passion developed in me to create jobs for the youth that have absolutely no experience and teach them myself, because I saw a lure of escape in there. I saw that if you can take people with no experience, you can hire them for far less, and so train them. And once they're trained, if they stay with you for a minute, you then have skills that are cheap, that you can cultivate, that they can grow in. And seeing as they will be eager to learn, because everybody who has been unemployed for a season of time has that trauma, enough for them to keep a job and work real hard at it, okay? So I saw a demand in the market of people that don't know jack but that are smart. If I can interview you and see something I can work with over here, mamela, how difficult is it to send an email? How difficult is it to book a calendar? How difficult is it to book parking? How difficult is it to get a purchase order for some freaking biscuits for team building? How difficult is it to teach administrative skills to somebody with just matric and sitting around bumming in the gussie smoking a cigarette? How hard can it be to get this person to have basic skills in corporate? How hard? And how expensive is it to take them, even if it costs a bit of an arm and a leg, to take my staff members back then would have been like Excel, but maybe like AI advanced tools or whatever, take them on Word, Microsoft Office, if it is expensive, to take them on courses to learn these things. Mamela, we can cut corners. You don't have to go on a course, Excel. Ne? My new, what do they call this guy? My new apprentice. You don't have to go on an Excel course. Bula Excel and figure your way around. Listen, walk around there. We 2 days. I want a report after 3 days. I'll give you 3 days. That's a lot of time. It Excel. It Word. It PowerPoint. It the system. And I will give you time. I will be lenient. And where I need deliverables, herself, and then going there forward, other colleagues in the building over here, and then you will learn Excel without having to get Microsoft Excel. But seeing as they insist that you have like Microsoft Suite, then once you are no longer an overhead, little Johnny, once you're no longer an overhead in my company, but you're actually making me returns, then on that day I will invest. On that day I will invest in you and take you to training. For your Excel, just so you can have it as something to list on the courses you did. I will take you on random weird trainings because now you're making me money, so you're worth it. So basically, this here apprenticeship is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I give you experience, and you just take it in your stride that if you quit this job within 6 months, you're gonna go out there and try and look for another job, and they're gonna demand from you Microsoft Suite, and you're not gonna have it because I'm not gonna take you on that training. You're not worth it so far, but you will have the skills. However, it will not be on paper. I get it, everybody's pedantic about qualifications, so you're gonna struggle to get a job out there, and you're gonna have a really rough time. Mara, you're free to go fly like a bird, but if you give me Skatsako and if you let me train you, only after a year of you showing me that you can do something, start a car, I will invest in your education. I will invest in your education if you're worth my while. Then on that day, it's a trade-off, right? You're making me a cool million an annum, I will pay your fees at Wits. I will take you to school. I had that model up my mind. And I was gonna go and grab all these dusty on the knees, ashy in the Soweto matriculants that are just having a hard time cracking into call centers. And a call center, everybody knows the dead-end job. Everybody knows how dead-end call center jobs are. They are a mind virus in the brains of young professionals. Gunzim, Pumara, like it's so rough to be motivated in the call center and to get out. So I just figured, I will give them experience that's not call center, where they will be gaining some true business skills, and I will invest in them insofar as there is something in it for me over time. And look at me have cheap labor. Look at me out here build a whole entire really successful project manager out of a matriculant. I mean, how hard is it to teach? I mean, you all know that project management is overrated in terms of how much money project managers make. For me, was always very bizarre, but I was one anyway, because it's so easy to teach that skill. It is so easy. It is so, if anything, a lot of administrators already do project management work. It's just that their titles are called something else. And an administrator of, like, a business executive is a project manager. Not a business executive, but an executive PA is a project manager. For a team's projects, an administrator, why a senior manager or why a general manager is a project manager. Project managing the prosperity of delivery for the whole entire team. She is the person that keeps this whole team together in a bunch and ascertains that the big boss of the business unit gets exactly what they want. That's the kind of work that project managers do. But project manager is a title in itself that is labeled that. Project manager is a title in itself that is labeled that. And so therefore, Ibiza for a lot more money. But the same skills exist in entry-level administrators. Entry level. So I was going to train up administrators, give them project management skills, be unprepared to give them the title project manager for at least a year, 2 or 3 of working for me. And if you stay with me for 3 years, where in that 3-year period, I will have also invested in your education, taking you to random courses, and if you want, even register go UNISA office, I'll pay for that. A contract we signed after 3 or 4 years that you've basically given me all your juice, and so I gave you juice back. I will then be willing, as your boss, as your employer, to transfer your title from administrator, paper pusher, PA to PM, and say that you were a PM from year 1. I will say that from year 1, you were interning as a PA, a PM, and then year 2, you got made permanent as a PM, and so therefore that gives you 4 years of project management experience. When rather, for the first 3 years, you were pretty much a personal assistant, and that's all that I will keep you. So if you quit that job on me in year 3, you stay what is this? If you quit your job on me on year 3 after I invested in you, I'll let you go. I'm not gonna hold you hostage, darling. Mara, you're gonna go out there only PA. You're gonna go out there only secretary, only paper pusher, only administrator. But if you stay with me for 4 years, you're gonna go out there as a project manager with 4 years project management experience. It's my business. I get to say that you are a PA, a PM all this time. And so while the job that I gave you was incrementally growing your salary negligibly, you did start from the Gasi with ashy knees, got deep glue for getting OC, so I'm not gonna pay you 30,000 rands. I'm not gonna pay you 45,000 rands. I will give you 10K to start. I will give you little 2,000 rands increases from that 10K. But by the time you get out of my company, you will be able to apply for a job as a project manager with 4 years experience, and so get a boost from 15,000 rands that you have got with me after 4 years of working to 35,000 rands overnight, to 45,000 rands overnight. So frankly, I am your stepping stone, your booster, your linchpin. I am your pampara little girl. I am your jumping castle. But it's a trade-off. And I would keep basically getting this kind of turnover of staff. And what do I get as an entrepreneur? Cheap labor that's highly skilled. And what do they get? Education, a really good boss, and project management experience. BA, they get a loving job, they get project management experience, they get business analysis experience, they get a degree. If they want to study a degree or certificates, depending on what institution they want to register at, they get paid for that. I get mine back insofar as they help me build my business. And y'all know how expensive salaries are. My business model would be premised around cheap labor that I will train, that I will take to school, and that I will, at every milestone that they stick with me to the end, thick as thieves, they get something beautiful out of this Christmas box. Like the title of project manager when all this time you've just been my PA. When you apply out there, when they call me, when they ask for your payslip, when they call me, and they ask for your title, and they ask for your reference, I'm saying, oh, little Renee, oh, I'm so sad that she's leaving. Listen, I'm crying. Oh, she was such an excellent PM. I won't say she was an excellent PA. That's what I wanted to do for the youth. So, do you see what in the world under heaven I would have contributed to South Africa? I had that plan because I did not want little Kinelwe to be volume 2.0 of me, knowing how intelligent you are, knowing how gifted you are, knowing what you can contribute to a company, knowing what you can add as value. And yet no one is calling you because you have no experience. No one is even trying to look at you. It's easy to put somebody on contract, a 3-month probation. Let them go with your not 3 months experience. Let them go with 6 months experience. Hire them on probation or on a 1-year contract where you can easily just let them go. And even then, I get about experience to call centering. So you will have given them 12 months, but let them go if they're not pulling their weight. But hey, there are stars in these kassis. There are stars in these ashy knees. There are stars in these patchy smoking random dwellers in the gas that are only smoking weed because they ain't got nothing else to do. There are stars. And gulula ugutola leda. South African labor laws make it hard for you to fire people, so bring them on board for 1 year on contract, and if they can bring out die star out of them, give them these breaks, these incentives over the years that they are with you. And like I said, you know how a staff member at the beginning starts out as just an overhead, they're just costly to you, but over time, man, it starts to become so beneficial. Over time, it was something very wonderful. And if you can get a whole bunch of these wonderful people working for you, your business is out growing, making millions, making billions. You are just being a mogul overnight, and these people are out gaining skills that they never would have gained and that they would have chilled go call center for 4 years and whatever they want to do, gathering experience that's only going to give them a bump of 2,500 rand in salary when they move to the next job. And that's if they succeed to move to the next job. All it's going to give South African youth Iseng nonsense tsetse o tlo nna ntse o drega ngwana batho through the iseng nonsense e ya go drega ngwana batho through the mud of call center for 4 years before they can work as a project administrator. What the heck have you been doing for 4 years to finally get to the status of being a project administrator after 4 years in corporate? Do you know how easy it is to learn systems? How quickly you just get on the ball of you're not Microsoft AO anybody demand initially. You know how easy it is to basically get to know how SAP yalona or power king backend system yalona ya reporting whatever might be your reporting systems, these tools even Microsoft project. Do you know how quickly you learn that stuff? It's actually quite patronizing how much time people demand people to be doing something for before it can be recognized as decent experience for you to be hired in a particular job. That thing. You will literally twiddle your fingers or your thumbs just learning a system that is like within a month, man, you're already a connoisseur. You are a penchant for all things that system. You can train new employees with 1 month's experience on working on a system every single day. And yet by expecting a whole by 7 months, 1 year, for these are the things that I made observations of. And seeing as I saw them in me, I saw that I could do that for others. And those there were my plans. First, Angela, are you catching? Whoops, there it is. Are you catching? That's what I was going to do to this country. But I was ripped out of a career before I could. I wanted to be a management consultant. I can teach businesses how to be businesses. And I can bring businesses from the brink of death. And among the ways that I would bring businesses from the brink of death would be to listen, cut really expensive employees, and bring in children that you can train from the street. But at least from Kokasi, MTN started like that. It brought in people from taxi rank and that Tembanyati that destroyed my whole career that was the executive at the time. That's how we came into MTN. By the time he was an executive there, he had an LLB, BCom law. MTN. He ended up an executive at MTN. MTN, that business model, it worked. And I was going to use it. I was going to employ it. That's what makes sense. And that's what would have built this country. That's what would have built this country. We don't know how that happened, but nonetheless, I guess he didn't want to do law, but that's how Utemba started. If I'm topanga, ingati licha lokdala ingeto. Or not, where was it? It was some taxi rank. If I'm topanga, where would he be? He would still be going to whatever job he was going to on that day. And by the age that he got when he was an executive at MTN, by the time that he got to the age that he was when he was an executive at MTN, he probably would have been just some middle manager or manager at all, like supervise. The way that companies be out making people grow like snails up the ladder. Mara MTN yamufa opportunity as a little child. Kenya because one day in the future also be corrupt. Bamnigeza a degree, bamnigeza a cloud. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So why I wanted to be a management consultant was because I wanted to help businesses see that there as a market that is tap intoable, these ridiculously expensive resources that I'll just be retailing for a cool $1 million for a skill that a child that has just been working in corporate for 6 months can do. That is some of the stuff that you can eradicate. And while there will always be a need for you to have that contractor that is charging you 2,000 rands an hour, there will also always be a need to try and use that skill or find that skill in someone else or train it into a much cheaper resource. And that's how new businesses start. So when you get bigger, when you grow, when you become that person with 4 years project management experience, then you can start to demand a salary of 40K per month. But somebody first paid you 10,000 rands. And at the point of getting to 15K, that's when you actually qualify to get a salary now, 40K. You understand what I'm saying? So how you grow the country's economy is by giving people these level of very haughty skills at cheap levels that they're willing to work because they didn't have experience in the first place and they're really young. So if a person is really young, they're not going to complain that I'm underpaid for this kind of skill. They're just going to be grateful that you're giving them the experience at all. But when then they leave your company, they can go on right ahead and charge MTN a pretty penny for the same skills. And that's how you grow the nation's economy and individual income per individual person in the country. And so our GDP, yeah, you eviscerated that girl. You did. So my company is nothing now. What I wanted to do, my management consulting firm, that's why I get it. If you want your company to do a 180 and flip and just come back from the precipice of liquidation, gurgling blood, hire me and my skills. I'm one of those people that will come cheaply for the kind of expertise that I actually be walking around the streets with. And yet nobody's even trying to even give me that kind of chance. I retail cheaply for these kinds of consulting skills because of the lack of experience that I apparently have or don't have. However, no one will hire me And with that being a thing, somebody will listen to me, somebody will hearken to me, somebody will give me a shot, somebody will lodge me in their company and make out of me their management consultant. And then I'll be able to start my own business. Then I'll be able to charge you a cool 4,500 Rand an hour. Because for this particular company, somebody will listen to me because God will make sure of it. But that somebody that's going to listen to me is not going to be from South Africa. And so therefore it won't be a South African business benefiting. And these ideas that I'm out here giving, employ them. But this is a consulting service that I'm doing for my heart, for the sake of salvaging my nation's soul. I'm a good girl. And you just refuse to let me be that thing. Instead, you want to grab me and my consulting powers. Yeah, because they're a superpower. And put me for Pick and Pay. Plastic. Or like your heavy duty thing that you've just bought from CTM or Builder's Warehouse. You did that to your own skilled professionals in the country, and then you have the brazen audacity to writhe in all of your writhing, ugly disposition with your ugly teeth. That it is skills exodus. Everybody in the diaspora. Ooh. Satan, do it. You did it to yourself. I'm one of your losses, South Africa. I'm one of the skills you've lost. But before then, you will have been like, ooh, skills exodus diaspora. And I'm like, skills shortage, skills exodus diaspora. Ooh. And I would have been like, hello, I'm unemployed. Hello, I've got skills. Look at my CV. Come on. Give me a whistle. Like a give and you would have just been like, I suka mina ngifuna ukumchata, ngifuna ukumnikeza ingculaza, ngifuna ukuthi baby mama yami, ngifuna ukuthi azongibhakela amakhekhe endlini ngoba ngiyabona ukuthi Grace she would make for a strong wife. Yo dog. That's like it. That's like it, man. Yo. Hayi umuntu abantu wagibela isifufane. Wayephesheya ngoba ngizoba right la. Yes, like it, bruh. Like, yo, I know, as in black people, you're mine to avoid. You're mine to avoid. You did that to me. You're mine. But the thing that I was trying to put out there is that after you ripped apart skilled professionals that were already empowered and so therefore had a bright future in the country, therein lies the parasite finish its host off now. Tell, how does a parasite get eradicated? Either take anti-parasitic medication, antiviral medication, or the host dies. I took a pill and the parasite stopped metastasizing over my body. I took meds. Other South Africans just died altogether. Yeah. Well, the parasite in itself does not have cognitive function to just stop doing what it's doing, because if at all you finish off the host and you don't find another host, if at all you finish the host and you don't find another host in which to nibble away, into which you can nibble, the parasite in itself dies. The virus in itself dies. And that's just the thing that you metastatic virulent monsters just don't get. You are reaching entropy because you are running out of that which or they whom you can devour. You are running out of hosts. You have been able to transfer over here from host to host. First you went amidst poor South Africans, and then you went and grabbed the ones in your workforce and caused a driving out of skills out of the country because of that defeatist behavior. You caused some to go to the diaspora, others died, and then others like me are just writhing in unemployment, unable to come up for air. We are no longer therefore consumable hosts, though you all imagine that there's something of me that is worthy of consumption, so you're still trying to eat whatever's left of me. And listen, there's not much, okay? You're still trying to gaula and devour because that's just what you're doing. Libizida lonaba dingang mutlapo mpama. Yeah, libiz. When then you now have depleted that host because it either found a cure for you, left for the diaspora. It's still writhing and it's trying to avoid you, but it's about to get depleted, so there's not much time that you have left on that host, or it's dead. You then, being self-preserving, because human beings are naturally self-preserving organisms, living organisms are self-preserving, including parasites. So therefore, you will then try to find another host. And what have you done now? I get it, you went for the blacks, they're gone. The ones in the Kasis, you've finished them off with their 2-3 week long power cuts. And now you've come for the middle class, blacks, to a point where people like me have been unemployed for a cool, 12 years, a dozen of years, whatever. Where are you gonna go now, bro? South Africans, the rest of them, there's still a lot to go around. I mean, after all, we might be the biggest demographic in the country, black people, but there are still coloreds left, and there are still Indians, and there are still whites. And in the 14-part series, I spoke about the defeatism of white people to think, and Indian people in particular, Indians and white, to think that they can just cocoon themselves in their complacency and survive. Y'all can go and listen to that later on. because it's up and coming. Yeah, because I have a lot of work. However, I will speak to this now. I said in that video, white people, whatever little cocoon you're living in, you're ultimately going to leave South Africa because of just how the parasite is going to come to you too. And already, indeed, it is coming to you. First, they started nibbling away at the toes of poor blacks, and then they went for haves blacks, or to-do blacks, well-to-do blacks. They came for us too, insisted that they're the only ones that are strong. So just like in the group areas, they go in and try and nibble away next at wherever it is that they can nibble away, insofar as that there is a louver of opening for nibbling over there. And those of you that are cagey, protecting yourselves from this nibbling because you are keeping an arm's length from black people, black corruption in this country has a way of reaching whites, blacks, colors, whites, colors, and Indians, in spite of how standoffish or arm's length you might keep them. Because at the end of the day, our government is black, and our government is supposed to make out of South Africa, instead of just a portion of it is out being like Zimbabwe. A foreign country that we understand that you're at our border, but I'm not trying to sweep your streets with my municipal funds. You live in a country that is catered to by the government. So while you might keep them at an arm's length relationally, nonetheless, infrastructurally, it's still gonna bite you in the nether regions if our government does not get its act together. If black people don't stop being so defeatist. It's your corporates that have got a workforce, a lot of it, full of black people. It's your roads that are built by black skills, by skills across the board. Largely, those who build blue-collar labor tends to be maintained in the black community. And if at all they keep on striking and breaking apart and falling and, clanking their knees, gotta kiss, hi, and yourselves, you're also gonna suffocate. You can't live in a silo. I spoke about that in my 14-part series. Listen, look out for it. Like you're showing shortly. Look out for it. It's impending you like a projectile. Like that asteroid from outer space killing your whole entire neighborhood. Amen. It's coming. And look at how it already is here. That's why I'm doing this addendum. I can talk for like ever and a day. Listen, I'm so verbose. Addendum, my darlings. I was like, you know that gushubile and you are nonsense of monumental proportions when a person starts a sentence with yazin or waiting. And I started this whole conversation with yazin. South Africa, waiting South Africa. I started the sentence with yazin Mzansi or waiting South Africa because I was already just preparing to take this to the grass and get nice and grimy, dirty and grubby. I'm fighting while up in there wearing the bunga tsanang di raffles fela mathanga ntsa fofa in the sky. That's how I'm coming to this fight like it's fight clubbing ngathi ngingu Brad Pitt. Yazi Katelehi. I live in Roodepoort Wilgevel. It's a previously group area ya Mahoa, and in particular Maabur. However, even in the days of apartheid, it was always middle class. It was never affluent, upmarket, although there are sections of this here west of Johannesburg that are upmarket. Like abo Mafetherbroek Sio, abo Remsig. Where I am, abo Walterveen Park Sio, Trubensveld. It's always been middle class. And thank God in 2026 it's still middle class. It didn't quite get bereft like Hillbrow. So okay, thank God at least. Thank God it's not Hillbrow. But middle class group areas, previously white middle class group areas. Those are not group areas. It's no longer group areas, right? Those are the regions or locations or districts, if we're gonna use Hunger Games lingo, that were flooded by everyone that now could live in suburbia. The coloreds, the Indians, they flooded first after apartheid ended to middle class. They didn't flood first to Sandton, Houghton, upmarket. They fled first to Winchester Hills, Basonia. Well, Basonia has always been kind of upmarket, but you get my point. They fled first to Edenvale, etc. They fled to areas of the country that had middle-class white folk living there in the days of apartheid, because that's what they could initially afford. That's what newly empowered blacks, Indians, and coloreds did. They moved to places like Wilgevel. Places like Strubens Valley, Wilgevel, Walterveen Park, Radiokop. They moved here. And thank God that these areas have still been maintained as middle class. So they still kind of good. They still beautiful suburbs, beautiful neighborhoods. But they are middle class. And if at all you got to the low, I don't like to call people low class, but lower income groups, if you depleted them as a parasite and you are still with that disposition of a parasite, if you still have that character flaw of a parasite, you're just gonna find another host, baby. If at all you don't want to die, right? Yeah. And now, middle class neighborhoods of South Africa, just as you came for middle class blacks after poor blacks, is being gnawed away at by the claw, by the fang, by the devourer, the animal that's eating us all. Middle class South Africa is not being eaten away by that animal, because if you're going to deplete all the resources of black people and your electrical infrastructure still can't hold water, you're still patching it together with sticky tape, you're still this, you're still that. At some point, the grid is going to struggle still to fail. It's still going to be for, I don't know why South Africa has not done a whole haul of electrical infrastructure. Like, I still don't know to this day why. That's a thing. I mean, how many years have we been dealing with this thing? The moment load shedding became an issue, there was supposed to be a nationwide project to replace all infrastructure in phased approaches. By now, we would have healthy infrastructure that is just running and running and running and running. Everybody knows why this is a thing. I mean, listen, what is with the rhetorical questions? Of course we know why this has been a thing. But just that you refuse to invest in national rebuilding from our taxpayer funds to a point of making out of South Africans like Zimbabweans. It was right here in our border, but you're getting nothing because you're not mine, except we are yours. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Now, our areas, middle-class areas, wherever you at, be out here hanging out as a middle-class rando. Tell me with a show of hands that nobody is going to see, because after all, am I not being blocked by South Africans? Anyway, you know. Do you have power cuts that now linger into the 24-hour? Are any of y'all out here dwelling in the suburbia of ours, hanging 10 all uncomfortable cold like a frostbite in a 48-hour power cut, or what? Has that happened in any of y'all's middle-income neighborhood? Because it certainly be out here happening too very frequently all up in my neighborhood. Somebody please come out here, give me an answer. Middle-class suburbia is now endured through the kinds of power cuts that you would only find Goval, certain parts of Amakasi here in these streets. Load shedding roster is now nonsense because it's no longer reliable. And now I'm about to teach English online. My mother and I are actively upgrading the solar panels and upgrading the battery to be able to hold out for longer duration power cuts, even if there is no power 24, as in all night long, as in throughout the pitch of night. Never mind during the day. Our solar panels were able to hold water insofar as there is some kind of supply of electricity once a day at least. Our solar panels can hold us down if there was electricity, perhaps up to like 7 p.m. and they can hold out a power cut for at night where the solar panels are not charging and so the battery's being depleted. Maybe like 6 hours. They can hold out 6 hours from the time it gets dark. And in winter, there are fewer hours of light. So therefore, given that our load shedding situation in the country is such that you will get power cuts for maybe 2 hours, 4 hours at most. At a go, when it's really bad, you'll be out here getting, depending on these stages, not the stage 4, stage 5, stage 29, you can get a power cut that is up to maybe like 4 hours long. And then the power will come back on. Insofar as the maintained load shedding roster would stay the same. We would never ever go without electricity. Without, like, ever. And when my mom got these solar panels a few years ago, when these solar panels came, oh my goodness, what a relief. Everybody took off their braziers and let them hang. We were the one lit neighborhood, the one lit house, the one lit unit in the complex. Well, there's quite a few in my complex that have solar panels, but in the neighborhood, we were among those that just like out here siakanya while everybody else is in the pitch of night. You know how I said that God compared me to a person with a lit spotlight on her alone and everywhere else is dark? More high is like the presence of a Christian in a very diabolical environment that don't like Jesus. Only light in the room. Look at that go. And if you snuff that saint out, God is going out here burn you with brimstone and fire. I don't know why my phone is out here giving me a glitch and a twitch, but it's okay. Well, we're gonna finally get information out. We are among one of the only people in my neighborhood that don't have to experience this calamitous situation, the power cuts. And for the first few years of these solar panels being installed, it was enough in spite of the load shedding situation in the country. Even if the power would go off for 4 or 5 hours, we were still able to keep things together. The lights would stay on all night long insofar as at some point Eskom comes back on and recharges the battery that gets depleted as soon as the sun is completely set. But all solar panels are equal, but some solar panels are more equal than others. There are some solar panels and some solar panel sets, units, like the whole entire hardware that it's like the difference between Apple phones and Samsungs. You know, some solar panels are Android, while some solar panels battery power is like that of Apple. Apple, you be traveling around all over the show with a power bank, but Samsung got you down all the day long, baby. Not Samsung, but Android. I love Apple products, don't get me wrong, but proper when it comes to battery power, Apple sucks. So some solar panels are like Androids when it comes to battery power, while others are like Apple, and it really depends on your package. So if you've got like an Apple battery type solar panel, a 6, 7, 8, 12-hour power cut will at some point cut your electricity if that power cut happens at night, and so there is no solar energy helping your cause alone. Whereas there are some solar panels that, in spite of there being no power for a good 12 hours at night, you will still, by the time the sun starts charging your battery, and so therefore switching on your electricity, by the time the sun starts doing all that, you still have power. So you never ever run out. I have neighbors. There's a family opposite, adjacent in another complex that I always looking up to them like they're a star in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the load shedding is 12 hours long, look at you continue to shine. There's a neighbor that shines even when the power has been off for 3 days. I don't know what in the world the solar power panels eat, what they get fed, but they differ, and that neighbor is like adjacent. It's in the neighborhood, different complex. However, there is one, however, also down, like just a few footsteps in the same complex. Lena, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And we also have a guy at the gate that is how I wonder what you are. That is on no matter what. So there are variations of solar panels, and I mean the unit that my mom put in was several hundreds of thousands of rands. It cost a minute. It was not cheap, and the reason why my mom did it this way was because it was expensive. Our not washing machine, sorry, but like the geyser and the stove, it doesn't function with solar power because that was like it was a package that was slightly more expensive, and my mom didn't choose it because they were just so expensive. So when there is no load shedding, when there is no ESCOM, when there's no power from the electricity supplier that is ESCOM, we also don't have hot water, and we can't use the oven. However, we've got a gas stove that makes it such that we can always just cook with it or heat water with it when we have no power at all. Otherwise, the kettle and everything works, of course, if at all. The kettle and everything works if there's any kind of power at all. However, our solar panels, if at all, for instance, we've got a kettle, a microwave, and a washing machine going at the same time. The panels, even when there is ESCOM load shedding, like even when it's like the bright of day and the best of days, it just suddenly over. Yeah, if these three things are going all at the same time, everything just suddenly packs up. It suddenly just like gets devastated or whatever. So we have to make sure that usually the washing machine is the thing, the variable here that everybody must be careful for, because we tend to wash laundry only once a week before the domestic worker comes. Saturday. So therefore, we can usually we're able to use household appliances with leisure, but when the washing machine is running, which tends to be only once a week, we have to be careful to make sure that we only have one other thing going at the same time. Like they cannot be iron going at the same time as ketlele, because then it'll just, or they cannot be what do you call this thing, washing machine, no sorry, with the washing machine going, they cannot be microwave with kettle. Yeah, stuff like that. But it's only once a week where we have that issue. But with a higher package, these solar panels, you could be able to run everything in your house. Plus, I made mention of the fact that our geyser is only on ESCOM, so electricity for extended periods of time. And my mom pays electricity bill, ESCOM, is indeed high, precisely because sometimes it can be a little bit high because of geyser. So if my mother moved the geyser to the solar panels, she would no longer need to pay for the cost of heating the geyser and that thing. So it has already been something that's been brewing and stewing in her, that like basically I wish I had just put the geyser on the solar panels, because then I wouldn't know I'd have these like fluctuating electricity costs for geyser. So and again, the electricity costs, it's on ESCOM thing that keeps on charging us ridiculous tariffs, increasing every year for lackluster provision of electricity. So if you can get most of your stuff off ESCOM and most of it on on the solar panels, and you get like the biggest bombiest package if you can afford it. It means that the only time that frankly you are using ESCOM is to charge your solar unit, which in itself is quite low. It's cheap, but the solar unit is literally carrying every electrical appliance in the house. But that package is expensive, like really expensive. Solar panel, it cost my mom hundreds of thousands, like I think it was like almost 200,000 rands for the whole unit, and she was able to do this. So if you've got that kind of money, if you can save it up, I think they've also got like a monthly package, whatever, with the supplier that she went to, you'll be good. But given the future of the country, 200,000 rand starts to become a manzamangane if you have it to part ways with. And nakona 200,000 for lendle, we've got a 2-bedroom, and ngaphandle this like thingy-mabobby, the bigger the house, the more, so if you live in Kobo Masanto, that's got an echo inside, you might even pay a cool $500,000, but I mean, just look into the future somewhere over the rainbow. If this thing is gonna go from bad to worse and linger into 10 years, 20, it's worth it. It's worth it. Like, it's like the example I used with a new employee being an overhead, and for the duration of time when they're in overhead, you're not investing too much in them, but over time it starts to really give you returns. Yeah, solar panels are the thing that over time it gives you some pretty handsome bumper profits. It gives you really handsome returns, and if you've got them 24 hours a day, there are certain other things that you succeed to do that other South Africans just can't do. Like with me, I'm about to teach English online. Certain South Africans have to be leaning on a load shedding roster in order to do that. And if at all you get cut off from electrical supply, and so therefore your computer dies off, and so therefore your Wi-Fi, water dies off, and you don't have electricity, and also the lighting conditions are not ideal for you teaching online with people. The aesthetics matter when you're teaching online. Your background, if it goes dark and dim and you now have to use candles and all that jazz, it has significantly reduced the quality of service provided by South African teachers of English online, and so therefore reviews. I mean, if you're gonna have load shedding in the middle of your, and I say that like there's one content creator in particular, one lady who teaches English online, and load shedding, she explained that she plans around the roster. Y'all know that I get it, the parasite is out here gnawing away at other people or whatever. Parasite, when it comes to nibble at your toes, not only switches off electricity too many times a day, but sometimes it switches electricity when it has not been planned. And there was a woman that had planned her teaching around the load shedding roster. She opened her schedule in spaces that were assigned, like next to the load shedding roster would then be on the side. Her booking sheet on Preply. She was teaching on Preply, and it worked for her during then because it was still reliable, and she was living in suburbia. The load shedding roster was reliable, but the 2-3 day power cuts, though 1 day, 24 hours, 48 hours, you get my point. Power cuts. These power cuts that linger, they're getting 24 hours, 36, 48. These power cuts that linger for more than 1 day, or for just a day in 24 hours. Those are the ones that tend to not be scheduled. They're not scheduled. It's basically the collapse of the infrastructure that makes them have to now. I mean, the other day, they gave us an excuse that there's too much of an overload ki winter. So a whole bunch of appliances are being used by people because so people are warming themselves. Yeah. Overload on the system, and that's why there's no power, and that power cut was for 24 hours. Overload because re boiler di ketlele, re pega di sopo, re lightile di heater, re lightile di electric blanket. The overload cause us some short circuit somewhere on a system that took them 24 hours to correct. And I say 24 hours because during the day we've got light because the sun is the source of energy, so therefore I didn't count those hours, but frankly it came back at 11 the next day. The power, they fixed it by 11 p.m. the next day, and because our solar panels are charged up to a certain point, and when it enters into the night, the amount of charging that the sun does of the solar panels is able to take us into some of the night, but not all of the night, right? So it lingered this time around up to 11 p.m. There was a day when the power left at 9 p.m., which is like super early. For us, usually it would die if at all the power is off all night long. Yeah, Eskom, around 2-3 a.m. This particular day, Ishone Masisha, yeah, I'm gonna use the word Shona, it died really quickly because sisebenzise, unbeknownst to ourselves, that there was a power cut. E-washing machine. And my mom recently installed e-aircon some months ago. She only uses it gasama. Aircon also contributed to why the power would die. This time maybe at midnight or 11 as opposed to 2 or 3 a.m. And I mean, I'm a night owl. I feel it when the power goes off. About 2-3 a.m. in a way that my mom didn't. But this time around my mom felt it too because the power left at 9 and she was still awake. And she was like, what in the world is this? And the reason the power left at 9 was because that day was a Friday when she was doing laundry. And the amount of power that the washing machine used up, caused our power to go at 9. And so just like all other South Africans, we are to be dwelling in the pitch and light, and then we look at the adjacent neighbor here over the street on some twinkle twinkle little star. You start coveting people that still have electricity 24 hours a day because they invested. So how much the solar panels charge the battery from the sun is less than the energy, just the supply of energy that comes from the voltage. Yeah, Eskom. Unless your solar panels are a different kind of gagar, then your solar panels in themselves will be haughty enough to charge your battery, almost like it's Eskom, enough for the situation. Like, I even tried to use my own little makeshift thing to charge it, but then like I just stopped because I realized that I was going to electrocute myself. The way I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated on the day when I was frustrated because the thing was beeping, beep, 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 basically hinting that the power's going to go off. I opened that thing and I looked around at the wiring. I did a little bit of it's physics, right? Electricity circuits in high school, so I know a little. And plus my mom we're very DIY. I do a lot of stuff DIY, very a lot. I went in there and I looked at the wiring and saw how in the world it went down. And I saw that, you know, the DC AC connectors, of course, groove into some kind of electricity source. And this electricity source is Eskom, obviously. But, I mean, during the day, there is power that surges as a result of the sun. And that power charges electrical appliances in the house. In the sense that it works with electrical appliances. It works the washing machine, the TV, basically just a whole entire running household. So I'm pretty sure that there is a way that these solar panels installers, and likely they do it this way because otherwise they would not make money. I believe that it would be possible to basically create a plug, like a 3-point plug, out of the AC-DC connectors and plug it into a wall to charge the battery, as opposed to plug it into the DB box that operates on Eskom. So that the power that comes from the sun, when it's doing a thing during a dry season, when it's doing a thing during basically a whole entire 24-hour power cut, that the solar panels would basically recycle energy from their own power. As in the solar be the thing that keeps electricity, that keeps the charging unit charging, but from solar power. How can I describe this? It would be like taking this phone of mine and that phone that I'm using to record, and then grabbing a USB that has got an innie over here and an innie on the other side. So basically two sides that are an innie. I've got a USB charger like that you have, and I'm not gonna go and like get it at the bottom over there. Listen, we're not doing any of that. You know, like, you know how sometimes you buy a USB that has got an innie, that is an innie on both sides, and there is an adapter that you use in order to make it like a USB that you put it into a computer, or but like that thing where it is that a phone will charge a phone, pretty much like how a power bank works, where a phone will charge another phone depending on what side the innie is on, whether it's in the bum or in the head. I figured that it is probably possible to get an adapter or a USB cord or an electricity cord that plugs into the solar panels to charge them. They can also plug into a power source, like a plug in the house, as opposed to the DB box, because the DB box is Eskom dependent, whereas the plugs in the house work during the day when there is solar power. That would be a way to keep 24-hour power just going, where it is that the solar panel charges itself from its own power that it got during the day from the sun, even if there's like a 24-hour power cut. Then in that way, you don't need Eskom ever to be, not so much ever to be running, but it will function like a backup, because the surge of power from, I guess, the Eskom, the DB power, the DB box is, I believe, higher, hence why it lingers. I believe it might be higher than what you get from the sun. I don't know, right? So therefore, there will always be a need for Eskom to charge optimally. But in emergency days, when you are just drought, like living in a desert, a drought, all parched with your lips looking all hungry, look like they're white, then charge the battery that keeps electricity in the house going from solar units with the power that was gained from the sun during the day. I imagine that this here was possible. Why wouldn't it be? And that likely why they didn't plug it that way was in order to make money. They have to keep maintaining. They have to, you know how it is that while it is possible to build a television that will never break, back in the day that used to be a thing, build a television that will never wear and tear, they just don't do it because it makes them no money. While it is entirely feasible to build a toaster that'll last you 25 years, a toaster that'll last you 25 years, they won't make a toaster that's going to last you 25 years because we need you to come back after 3. Buy it. So they build the stuff in a way so as to make sure that you keep coming back. That's like a whole entire practice within the consumer space. It's a whole practice. They ascertain that stuff eventually erodes to extinction so you can come back and buy it again. Because they know that there are some people out here in these streets that are nice and miserly, and they won't care about the most recent model of anything. Insofar as it works, dog, I'm pushing it. I'm like that with cars, frankly. If it moves, I'm not buying another one. For what? That's how I am with cars, though, and also phones. If it works, like, yo, why should, like, I used to use an old non-smartphone phone when I was at MTN, to a point where my colleagues used to mock me because I worked for a telco and yet I had this like old phone, and I was like, it works. I was like, it calls and I send them, and I don't do anything else on my phone, so why do I need a smartphone?